Are you the kind of English learner who spends time studying English vocabulary, but you forget words when speaking? This can be extremely annoying, especially knowing how much time you invested in studying that word or grammar structure, but ineffectively, as it turns out. In this video, you will learn a few extremely effective ways for you to learn English vocabulary like a pro. Today, I'm going to tell you about the most important thing you need to understand to learn English vocabulary fast and effectively, so you can have fluent conversations in English with comfort and confidence. The biggest mistake people make is that they study words from a book they read, a textbook, or a social media post. Maybe they see a translation of that word and one example sentence, only to realize that they don't know how to use that word. And that's exactly what today's video is going to tell you more about, the importance of knowing how to use vocabulary, because if you know how to use vocabulary, you will be able to use more of that when you speak English. And if you stay until the end of the video, I'm going to share with you a secret that I use, something that not many English coaches talk about, that will help you learn English vocabulary fast and effectively. Hey English learners, welcome to my channel. My name is Chubby. I'm an English fluency, learning and language anxiety coach, and this is a channel for English learners like you who want to learn how to speak English fluently, comfortably and confidently with the help of listening and spoken interaction. And the reason I think focusing on learning words from what you're reading is such a big mistake is because we tend to remember things the way we first encountered them. So you're more likely to remember words from reading and recognize them if you read them before. And if you listen to words and you understand them because you learned how to listen, you're more likely to recognize those words when you listen to something. This is why you can have so many people who are able to write an essay and they are really good at writing emails because they've prepared for an exam or because that's what they need to use at work, but they can't put sentences together and speak English fluently. Which is why I firmly believe that when you train yourself to learn English vocabulary from a movie or any YouTube video, you will not only have a better chance of understanding and knowing how to use a word, which is so important for us to communicate, but you will also remember the word in the long term. Today's video is mainly about helping you get the best advice on how to learn English vocabulary fast and effectively. But if you're interested in how to listen to and understand fast English speakers, I break everything down in this video, so you could check this out. You know when you get a new phone number and first you don't remember exactly what the numbers are, so what you do is, I guess, you keep checking the number again and again, keep reminding yourself, sometimes even say the words out loud, the numbers, so you can have a better chance of remembering. And it might take you days or weeks, sometimes even 2 weeks for you to remember the entire number, and you still have to go back and check if it's exactly what you think it is. Or think about some of your favorite sentences from movies that you've watched in English or in your first language. You know, things like "May the Force be with you" from Star Wars, or "E.T. phone home" from E.T., or even "I'll be back" from The Terminator. If you have any favorite expressions or sentences that you've learned from movies, whether it's in English or in your first language, feel free to share with me in the comments just for fun. Or even if I say to you, "Hey, my name is Chubby, nice to..." You completed my sentence in your head. Or when I say, "Would you like a cup of..." You either said coffee or tea, depending on what you prefer or where you live. So why do we have these sentences and expressions completed in our head? Something we keep repeating all the time. It's because part of your memory learns through auditory information, something coming through your ears. And this is something a lot of English learners tend to forget about. There's good news and bad news. Which one shall I start with? The bad news is that this part of your memory is extremely short, and it's not your fault. This is how every human being works. This is how it worked for me as well. And this is exactly why it's so hard for you to keep listening to someone who speaks English fast, because by the time you kind of understand more or less what the other person said, they have already said something else that you have difficulty keeping up with. And the good news is that this whole channel is dedicated to helping you build up your listening skills, expand your vocabulary so you can speak English more fluently. So if you aren't a subscriber yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also the notification bell so you can get my weekly videos on how you can speak English more fluently and learn English more effectively. That wasn't actually the good news I wanted to share with you. The good news about your brain is that it's extremely good at repetition and recognizing what's repeated. So the more you repeat a phrase, an expression, or a sentence in different contexts and say it all out loud, the better chance you have at remembering it in the long term. Repetition is at the core of my fluency program, the Proficiency Fortress, that helps my students build up their foundations and speak more fluently because they apply some of these incredibly effective ways of speaking English and remembering words better that I'm going to share with you today so you no longer forget words when speaking English. Focus on expressions and not words, and whatever you do about learning English, always make it vocal and say it all out loud. This is so important. The reason it's so important for us to focus on expressions is because we don't speak in words. We aren't robots or announcers at the train station.
Calling at Kensington Olympia, Shepherd's Bush, Wembley Central.
When you look at a word that you want to learn, always look at what's before that word and what's after that word for you to learn how to use it. For example, when you see the word attention, the most common word you will see in text is going to be pay, and the word after it is going to be to. You will see the preposition and how it's used. So instead of wasting your time and trying to remember pay, attention, and to, you would have one expression to remember, pay attention to. And once you learn this, you will be able to use it everywhere because your brain is so good at recognizing patterns. So you could say, I will pay attention, I'm paying attention, or I paid attention. Or when we practice guessing with my advanced students, we often learn this phrase, if I had to make a guess, I'd whatever. So they will have a complete sentence that they can use anywhere and pair this up with another expression like take part in a race. They could create a whole sentence without thinking much, which would be, if I had to make a guess, I'd think they would take part in the race. And you have a whole complete sentence without thinking much because originally you learned expressions and not individual words. Not learning expressions and then wondering why they still forget words when speaking English is just one of the many mistakes that I see a lot of English learners make. And if you're interested in what the 11 other mistakes there are that I've seen a lot of my students made before joining my program and finding a better and more efficient way for them to build their fluency and also learn English vocabulary, just check out and download my free PDF that will tell you everything you need to know so you stop making these mistakes and start taking steps towards your fluency. One thing that really helped me learn English vocabulary and speak more fluently, find different ways to express myself, was the audio version of graded readers. You can find a few examples of the series I love the best in the description below. The best thing about graded readers, these are small books that are well designed with a specific range of vocabulary that gets repeated throughout the whole book, so you have a better chance of seeing them and listening to them repeatedly multiple times so you could build your fluency and get more confident in using all those words. Never underestimate the power of repetition. That's how we learn anything in life. That's how you learn to walk. That's how you learn to write. And that's exactly what I did to learn English vocabulary fast and effectively. And in this video, I explain to you exactly what you need to do so you can build a strong foundation and focus on repeating the things that you're not entirely sure of how to use so you become more fluent in the process. One of the most important things English learners need to focus on. And here's the secret I promised to you. One thing that especially helped me learn vocabulary effectively was this. And you don't even have to spend hours on this. It's just a habit that if you're serious about learning English and learning vocabulary effectively, which I believe you are, you can easily create. Back in the days when I was actively learning English for fluency, or when I was preparing for my intermediate or advanced English exam, I took the time and reminded myself of review time a few times a day and had a look at 3 to 5 expressions that I really wanted to make part of my active speaking. And what I did was I reviewed these expressions for just a few minutes right while I was having breakfast, and then another time right after lunch while I was trying to digest all the lunch that I had, and then another time in the evening. At the beginning, set up a reminder or an alarm on your phone that will remind you of review time at least 3 times a day. And it's just going to be 5 to 10 minutes while you take your time, pick 3 to 5 expressions every day that you really want to activate and make part of your active vocabulary. And think of ways that you could use them the next time you use them when you talk about yourself, your life, or what you think about. Remember that what you do now, here and now, is what will eventually determine the outcomes you will experience with your fluency. It's what you do or don't do that determine how quickly you become a fluent speaker of English, and this will also help you keep studying English vocabulary. I set up this whole channel to empower you and inspire you to become a more efficient English learner, so check out some of these other videos, and I hope that you will take away at least one thing from this video. You could share what you learned in the comments, and I can't wait to hear from you how this all works and helps you become a better English learner and then eventually speak English more fluently. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and hope to see you in another video.